definitely hear that. Yep. Oh, okay. Now I think I do hear myself on the mic. I see. That's all right. Great Saturday of the first. We are testing sound. Clay Wilson, our co-host and producer, engineer. As a matter of fact, from time to time, may relieve ourselves of the mask depending upon how we're coming across. All right. And you're not hearing me, I take it. I see heads shaking in the wrong direction. Therefore, even as I see, I can hear. Okay, very good. And now it is our announcer's turn. And I can't hear you yet. I do hear kind of a constant buzz. Not a buzz, but a foggy. All right. As we continue, and as a matter of fact, during this era of the pandemic, COVID 19, there are a number of adjustments that have to be made. And among those adjustments are electronic and technological. And here is our producer and announcer once again, and for some of you for the first time.
Good afternoon, everyone. Hello, I am DeQuay Wilson. DeQuay Wilson. I'm so happy to be back in the studio. Obviously, I'm tongue-tied. I am your announcer on the Wave Your Grades Motivational Talk program featuring American students, dedicating academic excellence to American veterans, and our veterans thanking our students for being serious about their education. Your Wave Your Grades program is brought to you by the Norman Group. For more information on becoming a partner or learning to bridge the five wealth gaps, please contact Willie Norman. You may reach him by phone at 816-525-8708, or you may reach him at wnorman, the number 2, at att.net. Now, with today's very special guests, here is our Wave Your Grades host, civilian and Mid-America Hall of Fame educator, Carl.
Thank you so very, very much. I do hear myself, and I promise you that if there is any difficulty, if there's any distortion, there's someone at my address who will tell me all about it when I get home after the program this afternoon. But one of the things that is so important is how important today's program is. My name is Carl Boyd. I am your host, and DeQuay Wilson is indeed your announcer. For those of you who have earphones, and for those of you who are listening, if it is too terribly distorted, please let me know. But we're taking the precaution that has become the norm, and that is donning our masks to make sure that we are observing the most important health practice of this day. We have a very special guest in Valencia brought us, and that is not unusual because of what Sister Broadus has brought us every first Saturday morning. And this is not unusual because the Smart Club is being represented, but not only that, the Black Economic Union also being represented, and even broaching the topic of what does it mean to go back to school during pandemic era, and hopefully as it relates to schools, that is the pandemic era, ERA, and not error, ERROR. We'll get help with that this afternoon. So let me ask Valencia Broadus to guide us during this program. And by the way, we will have, before the program is over, a guest appearance from Rebecca Bradley before the program is over. But for the Smart Club, here is attorney Valencia Broadus.
Hello, everybody. And it is so hard to hear folks through these masks, but I'm glad to have mine on.
And I hear you really well. I don't know if you hear me nearly as well as I hear you, but you really sound good.
She's very clear.
Can you hear Mr. Ross?
I can hear you.
No,
Yeah.
Mr. Ross, he's another guest in here, so I was just kind of
Yeah.
looking at him saying, you know, hear each other. I'm going to be quick about this introduction because I really have three other really important people that I want us to get to, and they're going to be kind of talking on the phone with me, joining us.
Okay.
And as you guys know, the Smart Career Club, well, you may not know, Smart Career Club was founded 20 years ago. And SMART stands for Students Motivated to Achieve and Resist Truancy. And we try to, of course, not only assist our young people in, not being absent from school, but we don't want them to be absent from life. And so the only way we can really do that is to make sure that they are prepared when opportunities come before them. And our whole piece is that success is where preparation meets opportunity. And as you can imagine, in today's climate where everyone's working from home and having to do a lot of technology, showing their strengths from where they are in a classroom, the more that we can help our students to be seriously prepared for the online learning and showing their strengths through that process is something that SMART, we really embarked heavily on this summer. And BEU, they were our partner and sponsor, the Black Economic Union, and they allowed us to do an amazing health equity research and policy practice internship with some of our young people, smart ambassadors. And so, what I want to do is just kind of not really tell you really about their research because they're going to be coming forth themselves on August the 10th through an awesome Zoom meeting led by their PhD instructor, Ms. Kavita Indar. And they're going to be telling everybody, these young people, they're going to be telling you what they found and how we can help communities or whatever based on what they're doing. But I really want to talk about, and they will really talk about it, but we want to talk about what these young people learn through these really rigorous teaching exercises that Ms. Kavita has put through, and that they allow themselves to go through, and that BEU sponsored that make sure that everybody was, incentivized to really practice, the hard stuff. So, with that in mind, I want to stop there, and then we'll get them on the line when Mr. Boyd's ready. But that's kind of what we want to talk about today is what are we doing to help these young people to really be ready for the world of work from a critical thinking and writing and research standpoint that we often don't do in our schools and our communities. So I just kind of wanted to start there, and from there we can kind of figure out where Mr. Boyd wants us to go. One of the other things we're going to talk about, though, as well, and it'll be a little later, Mr. Brian Ross, he is with an awesome company, and he'll tell you more about that himself in a little bit. But as we started doing a lot of this research, of course, we're all in the COVID-19 climate. We're all in it. We know what's happening. And as our students are going back to school, we started finding out some interesting information regarding what, of course, they may encounter when they're there, and the students, they talk about that. But also, because these students going to college, they're grown now, right? So parents, there's some things that we can't ask them. We can't make the schools give us anything, even if we're paying for it. So if our kids are away sick, what are we doing? So we're talking about that a little bit later because it impacts these young people studying and our kids all over the country, whoever they are. And that's something that's been really interesting. I'm a real estate development attorney, but I also do a lot of probate and estate planning. So that's how Mr. Brad and I spent some seminars helping people to think about those things in their life, and that is kind of so. I'll stop there.
Well, as a matter of fact, my understanding from producer and announcer DeQuay Wilson, you do have one of your first guests on the line, and that would be Syria Shields. So again, we defer to Attorney Broadus as you introduce Ms. Shields.
Hey, Miss Syria, how are you today?
Okay.
Can you hear us, Miss Syria? She's there.
Okay. Syria Shields, if you would speak right in.
Hello.
There she is.
Hey, I know that voice. How are you doing, young lady?
Hello.
I see. We hear her, but she's not hearing us for whatever reason. Because she did speak.
Tell her don't listen to the radio.
Once again, Syria Shields, are you listening to the phone or to the radio, or can you hear me even ask that question? We have been blessed to have her as a guest before. This is not her first time. Well, as a matter of fact, she's been on many times, but most often in studio. But it is not the first time that we are getting the opportunity by phone. And as we adjust to the technology once in a while, we have a need. Now, let us see. Syria Shields, are you with us? We heard a phone ring. Oh, I see. Okay, so we're still, in the meantime, would you please introduce Brian Ross to us and what his role will be during the program?
Excellent. I'll let him introduce himself, but I do want to say, going back a little bit, Mr. Ross and I, we became acquainted during the program where we were doing our first annual financial Jeopardy competition, and Mr.
Yes.
Ross and Edward Jones, he was one of the sponsors then with BEU, and I said, well, Mr. Ross, you know, for sure, and he'll say Edward Jones will not say anything, but he assisted us in just having the dynamic curriculum,
yes,
and then the guidance from that wealth management standpoint. And again, economic development, BEU, that's a lot of what they do. So just like Mr. Boyd, and he focuses on financial literacy, and Mr. Ross he is a real deal. Again, there's also the people that
yes,
work with you, Mr. Boyd, and do these things. So we're excited to have him be as passionate about developing people and their families and helping us to kind of, we did a family literacy project, and so it trickled from the students all the way down to the families, and we still do ongoing, pretty much monthly conversations with the families on investing and all that. So I'll stop there.
And you said that he would introduce himself.
After all that.
I'm sure you are very familiar with the person you are about to introduce. So please go right ahead.
This is my first time being here. It's a first time guest, so happy to be here for sure.
Thank you.
As you said, with the circumstances, it may be a little difficult to talk through the mask, but we'll make it work here.
All right.
So I'll just start off just briefly and just talk briefly about myself to say that I'm a financial advisor with Edward Jones. Been doing that for a number of years. Really got my start in the financial realm as a teller at the bank. And I really got introduced to that when I was young. Me and my mom, we used to watch Susie Orman and watch about finance, different things, and she really got me really involved about the importance of budgeting, the importance about investing in those different topics that sometimes aren't always talked about in school and talked about amongst each other. So I really piqued my curiosity. So now this gives me the opportunity to turn my curiosity into my career, is what I'm doing right now. So the biggest piece that I really do strive when it comes to talking to individuals about finances is a lot of people think that it's maybe too early, it's too late, or I don't have enough
Exactly.
to get started, right?
Exactly.
And so I really stress the importance of really trying to be that bridge of understanding that you can start with as little as $25 when it comes to getting something started, because those small incremental changes will still start to grow into bigger pieces. Once you start creating the habit, you start getting excited about it, and then it's just more of a snowball effect when it comes to your own finances. So the big piece I'll just say is making sure that you don't think it's too late, too early, or it's too little when it comes to getting yourself invested. The other piece that I talk about when it comes to discussions with clients and others is the estate piece, which is really how me and Valencia really got connected. It's important to make sure that not only is it simple pieces of the beneficiaries are set up in your checking accounts, your savings account, your investment accounts, but also that you have some type of instructions, which is really called a will of some sort, or a trust if necessary when it comes to your documentations, because you can have wealth built, but if people can't access it upon your passing, or people don't know where it's at, it's lost wealth at that moment in time. So it's important that not only do we talk about building wealth, but we also talk about protecting wealth. So one piece that we always make sure that we discuss in our office, and one thing we want to make sure we're taking to the broader community as well too.
I have a question for you as it relates to what we are doing today with young people. And I, oh, I see. Okay, it's too muffled. Let me do it this way, and I'm sure that I'll be heard, and I'll be able to indeed be heard.
Miss Syria, did we just hear you say hello to us?
It's interesting that
Can
we're
you hear
able
me
to
now,
hear.
Miss Syria?
Well, how about me? Can you hear me? So
Hello?
now we are hearing you, and we are hopeful that you're listening through your telephone as opposed to attempting to listen by radio. Do you hear us now?
Yes, I'm on the phone. I can hear you a little clearer, but it's very faint. So I can't really quite understand everything you're saying.
Okay, and now she's saying that it's faint, but you have me all the way up. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I have your volume all the way up and you on speakerphone.
And she was asking, and I want her to be assured that our speakerphone is all the way up. And we are very anxious to have Valencia Broadus and Syria Shields introduce our program this afternoon. So let us ask Valencia to ask you if you can hear her. All right, Valencia, please.
Miss Syria, hello, and thank you for, of course, being on the line and working
I
with
hear
us.
something. I can't quite understand.
She can't understand you quite yet.
She still can't hear me.
So
She's getting it low.
she's hearing something, but she isn't hearing what we are saying. And one of
We
the
can either try to call her again.
good things is
Yeah.
that as we navigate the technology, we discover some of the things that work, some of the things that don't work, and that is not a bad thing because we want to make it better as we continue. Syria Shields, hello, you are saying something.
I can hear you pretty well. You're still a little faint, but I can make out what you're saying.
Okay, now we're going to turn it over then to Valencia Broadus and see if you can hear her.
Hello there, can you hear me now?
And that
I cannot hear her.
okay. One of the things that
No, you're going out.
we are without. Oh, as a matter of fact, what you might do is use the other microphone and see if that makes a difference.
Yeah.
Because
Miss Syria, can you hear me now?
I can hear you a little better.
A little better?
Oh, yeah. Okay, I can hear you a bit clearer now.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, there. That's because Mr. KUAW came over and she blessed this mic. Really. And so that's what happened. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. So one of the things that I was sharing early on, and I apologize because you probably didn't hear when I was kind of introducing a little bit regarding you of course, Ms. Paris, doing the health equity research. And I didn't really talk about the topics at all because I did share that on August the 10th, you guys will be coming forth and doing a whole lot more of sharing with different people some of your findings and based on the actual data that you collected and stuff. What I was wanting, of course, and you already know this, to do a little bit more today is to talk about, as you guys became some real serious, intense, qualitative researchers during the summer project, like what has this experience been like? Just really learning some of the tools and skills that you've had to really become familiar with and almost master in order to do some of this work this summer. Any thoughts that you can give us, please, there, and then I'll kind of ask you questions, kind of based off of what you say to me.
Okay, so the question is, how has this summer experience been?
Yes, ma'am. And what are some of the tools and skills you've had to like learn, perfect, and use daily in this initiative?
Okay, so this experience has been very, very eye-opening and enlightening. It was definitely a different level of learning and like a different form of learning that I was not exposed to or experienced like it's different than school and everything else. So it was definitely a very, very good experience. This entire research project, this entire internship. It's definitely taught me with one major thing that I came into this like completely oblivious to was like the importance of digital literacy and like how beneficial like your computer and your laptop and just knowing how to use these functions can be. So that's one major thing that Ms. Kavita and Ms. Broadus have helped me learn. And through that, it's like a whole completely different side of the world, like different form of learning that I have definitely been using, and it's definitely going to be beneficial to me in college. And I plan on, taking some time to just understand my laptop and all the different ways I can use it for research and work and all types of other things. So it's been really, really beneficial.
No, thank you. And I'm going to dig a little deeper because I know we've talked before on this show that we believe, us older people, or seasoned people,
Thank you.
we believe that the younger generation, that you all are so digital literacy savvy and that you all can pretty much, do anything with technology and digitals and etc. And so I think some people, especially our audience, our Kansas City audience and the area audience, I think they'll be a little amazed when you tell them a little bit more about not just the exposures that maybe you didn't get from your school from a digital literacy standpoint, but also other students probably are not getting. And I'm going to ask you specifically to tell us about when you think about the Microsoft Word suite. You know, when you tie that into digital literacy, what are a couple of things that you learned that could have probably helped you in high school from that digital literacy standpoint, and then of course will definitely help you in college from just that whole Microsoft suite system?
So you broke up a little bit towards the end of that question. I'm so sorry, but could you maybe speak a little bit louder and repeat the question?
Oh, yes, ma'am. So, you may have heard my dialogue then about digital literacy and how there's an assumption that we all really think you guys really know it all, can do everything, and teach us everything.
Okay, so how is she doing now?
Is that better?
I still can't quite hear her. I'm hearing pieces like digital literacy. I'm hearing phrases, but I can't quite make out the question.
Yes, ma'am. Sorry. Is this better?
She's very
Hello?
Is this better?
she's very close to the microphone at this point.
Is this better?
Not quite.
Is this better?
And
No.
what we might do is have her talk to me and allow me to talk to you. Is that okay?
That is perfect with me.
Okay.
Hear you.
So you can
Yes.
hear me fine. And
Yes,
she was.
I hear you loud and clear.
Good.
You know what? Another alternative to that might be is if I point this microphone at Valencia Broadus, I'll hold on to it and bring it right back to myself. So see if you can hear her under these circumstances.
That's me.
That was because that microphone was pointed at the other. Don't worry about that.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Oh, all righty then. That's because Mr. Boyd got the mic, y'all. Cause he the man. So, my question, I'll just do the question. You mentioned that with digital literacy, there's some things that you learned, and can you give us just a couple of specifics? And I was thinking about like the Microsoft suite, all those things within the Microsoft packages that that you learned a lot more about and how to use them. And if you can give us just maybe an example or two, and then how, of course, they would have been probably helped you a whole lot better, through your high school journey, and how they will definitely, these examples you give, how they will definitely assist you in your college journey.
Yes, ma'am. So one major thing that I learned was like about the Google Drive. Now, I've heard of a Google Drive. I've never personally made my own personal Google Drive, and through that, I noticed like all the different like aspects of your Google Drive that you could use. So through this research study, pretty much all of my findings and everything, documents and participant info is all stored in my Google Drive. So I've been able to create a slideshow in my Google Drive. I've also been able to create the survey that I sent out was I was able to create it in my Google Drive. And then also one really major thing that I wish I would have learned how to use in high school and even in some of my college classes was it's called voice typing. Many computers may have it, but it's really beneficial for like when you're in college or you're in a course and you struggle with taking like the proper or adequate notes because you always feel like you're going to leave something out. Voice typing pretty much just translate everything your professor is saying into your notes. And that was really beneficial to me learning how to do that or how to use that because I was like, you know, I just did not know that.
Excellent. And so a lot of the Google Drive, those tools, um, in using the Google Drive data and also the transcription and also then the folders and I always think about just finding a way to be more organized with all the different information that you have and are getting and where to put it for easy finding. And I know for all of us watching us together really go through how to better organize yourself to make sure that we're able to make that happen. So
Right.
that's pretty good.
Thank you very much. As a matter of fact, once again, we get an opportunity on Wave Your Grades to say congratulations to Syria Shields, graduate class of 2020. And once again, we get an opportunity to thank you for being a guest on Wave Your Grades. You will be called upon in the future. Anything that you want to say before we go to Kavita?
That's pretty much. I want to thank all of you guys for having me. Thank you for the opportunity. Special thanks to Miss Broadus for being one of my leaders and my teachers throughout this journey. If it wasn't for her and Miss Kavita, I definitely would not have been exposed to all of this information and be able to tell it and express it to you guys. So just thank you guys so much.
Well, let me refer to all of the information that you have with an apology. We have had technical difficulties. We could certainly spend a lot more time with you and ask that you spend a lot more time with us. So we thank Attorney Valencia Broadus for being flexible as we continue, and she wants you to tell us where you are going to school when such a thing as school does in fact resume.
I will be attending Lincoln University of Missouri. I will be majoring in agribusiness and minoring in political science.
There are some folks who look like you and me who are very proud, and we thank you very much. We will be following up on your career.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. God bless you. As we continue on Wave Your Grades, we will take this brief moment for our break. When we come back, now, Attorney Valencia brought us, we will be talking to Miss Kavita, Dr. Kavita, or, okay.
She's finishing her.
Okay, so I can hear you, but nobody else can hear you telling me what you're telling me. So we'll talk about it after this break, and you can tell us. Thank you. Here is your announcer, DeQuay Wilson.
Your Wave Your Grades program is brought to you by the Norman Group. Again, for more information on learning to bridge the 5 wealth gaps or becoming a partner, contact them by phone at 816-525-8708. That is Willie Norman. Or you can reach him by email at wnorman2 at att.net. Again, 816-525-8708 or wnorman2 at att.net. Now we are back with Wave Your Grades. I am your announcer, DeQuay Wilson, here again with our special guests, host, civilian educator, Carl Boyd.
Thank you so very much. With deep apologies, our accelerated version of Wave Your Grades because of technical difficulties. Here again is Attorney Valencia Broadus. And now you can tell us what you were talking about as it relates to Dr. Kavita.
Hello, hi, me again. So, Miss Kavita Indar, she is a PhD candidate student at at KU, and she has been an amazing guide and instructor for our students in teaching them qualitative research methodology. And she'll tell you a little bit more about why it's important, but it's also important, and she'll share this with us, is that so often people that don't look like us come into our communities and they do all the research on us, about us, analyze it, and then put the data out. They get paid everything, and we're just the study subjects. That's it. So often we don't have we don't have those skill sets to really go in and do, whether it's qualitative research or sometimes even quantitative. And those skill sets are the ones that students need to be able, especially in college, to really enter into the dialogues that assist them in being able to do well. So Ms. Kavita, she'll tell you more about that, why community-based research is so important, and why she is a subject expert in that, and we're glad that she's on our team teaching our students.
I am understanding Kavita. Full name, please.
Miss Kavita Indar.
Kavita
Hi.
Indoor. Can you hear us all right?
I can hear you.
You see,
Uh,
exactly. And now, once again, looking to see if you can hear us well enough to respond. Hello.
is Miss Valencia speaking?
This is Carl Boyd,
I
and
can hear you, Mr. Boyd.
you can hear me.
Yes.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you very, very, very much, because Attorney Valencia Broadus just said something that would make my daughter very proud. You know that a daughter adopted me as I adopted her, who is a Navy veteran, graduated from Naval Academy in Maryland at Annapolis. And I happened, Dr. Alicia Malloy, to call her to talk about some research that was being done. Uh-oh, what happened? Are you still hearing me?
Yes, I'm here.
Just wanted to say very quickly that some research was being done, and when I found out it was being done at the University of North Carolina Central, found out that those who were doing it were not people who looked like us. And what Attorney Broadus was saying, that we are often researched and reported on by others. And she so appreciates you. I'm going to turn the mic over to her, and she will help us, as you will, to understand what you have been doing with the Smart Club and BEU, and others for that matter. Here is Valencia Broadus.
Hey, Dr. Miss, almost Doctor, almost there, Kavita. How are you today?
I'm good. Hi, Miss Valencia.
Excellent. Hi. I'm going to be short. The main thing I wanted to do is I want you please to tell our audience a little bit more about you and why why it's so important to you, but then also talk with us about the real need for that community-based research that you're walking our students through, please.
First, I'd like to thank Mr. Boyd for having me on the show.
You are more than welcome.
I really appreciate you giving me the mic for the moment. My name is Kavita Indar. I'm currently a doctoral student at the University of Kansas, and I'm getting my PhD in special education, concentrating in instructional design, technology, and innovation, as well as diversity, equity, and inclusion. My general research philosophy is that I don't believe large, predominantly white institutions should be leading research projects in Black and brown communities. I believe it's imperative that as a researcher, my role should be to convey research skills to Black and Brown communities so that they can decide what issues they want to prioritize in their communities, and they research it themselves. They decide what to do with their findings, essentially just supporting autonomy and empowerment within the Black community. It's one of the reasons I was really excited for this opportunity this summer to work with Black Economic Union and Ms. Valencia, particularly in terms of youth development. I think getting youth involved in research in their own community really gets them to invest in the future of their community so that even if they go off to college, they'll always come back and try to find ways to better the places that they came from.
Excellent. Thank you, Ms. Kavita. Valencia again. What I want to share kind of how we met. I think that that'll be important just a little bit. One of the things that we've done for years is we've worked with the family court juvenile justice system, and we go in and we work with the young people there, you know, just we're doing stuff with them, hanging out, teaching, and interacting. And Miss Kavita and some of the other, we have a group called KUPHD Angels, and so so there's like a bunch of them, and they always help us and do stuff. And so Miss Kavita is one of those awesome people in that group, you know, that's worked with us. And so she would go with us weekly with Mr. Alfred Jordan. We used to go, you know, we haven't been there lately because of the COVID-19, crisis. So that's how I met Miss Kavita. So some time back, she started doing that. So I told her a little bit more about BEU and programs that we do outside of the family court, you know, not connected to the family court. And from there, ask her, learn more about what she does in general regarding her research and all of that. And she's a teacher. She's an educator. And of course, she's helps really all types of students to not just catch their dreams and make them grow, like there's the smart vision, but also she really understands how to go in and figure out the small intricacies where they may have missed gaps. And again, of course, Mr. Boyd's an educator, so you know, y'all know all that stuff. Great. And she really goes in and helps really pull it out, develop, you know, really enhance their writing skills or speaking skills, anything she can really pinpoint it and bring it out stronger organizationally. She understood the digital literacy gap, and she spent even extra time making sure they really understood how to use all these tools. Teachers are amazing. I just want to say that because that's what you guys do. You all see that and you pull it out, and she does that. And she's a qualitative research expert. So we got to have a project to where we got them to research things in our community that's, you know, doing stuff with us. But she was also able to develop. Oh my God, I just can't say enough. Thank you, Dr. Kavita. I didn't ask you a question, but I'm gonna give the mic back.
Any remarks from there? Well,
like I tell Miss Valencia all the time, I just really appreciate her. And I really enjoyed working with Ms. Harris and Ms. Syria. I tell them all the time they are brilliant young scholars. But I also reinforce with them that brilliance does not guarantee success. You have to be brilliant, you have to be organized, and hence part of the mission this summer as we taught the methodology course was reinforcing some of the skills that we all know young learners need as they go off to college and become independent. You know, how do you organize a life as well as a job life, as well as, you know, an academic life? How do you organize it so that you can actually balance it and not have to address it after failure? So our goal was really to imbue these students with the necessary skills to increase their likelihood of success. And we're really proud of their progress. They've really embraced a lot of this, and it's been amazing to watch them get really curious and interested in what they're doing and get excited about interviewing community stakeholders. It's just been amazing to watch.
Well, let me say to you that this is a necessarily briefer segment then we would prefer to enjoy with you. And I'll tell you why we really, really want to have you back. There's a gentleman in our studios. His name is Louis George Walker, and he
Okay.
is president director of Black Family Technology Awareness Association. And their emphasis is on bridging the digital divide. And it will be extremely beneficial. We are here broadcasting from the W.E.B. Du Bois Learning Center. And this station, KUAW, was also founded by Louis George Walker. And the studio is at the Learning Center, and they talk about the digital divide. Believe me, we're going to want you back, and I suspect that on more than one program, I'm just looking Louis George Walker's way now, and he's nodding, that we would like to have the benefit of your being our guest. So for today, thank you, thank you, thank you, and thanking you in advance, Dr.-elect Kavita Indoor. We look forward to seeing you soon. So thank you for this afternoon.
Thank you, Ms. Valencia. Thank you, Ms. Syria and Ms. Paris. I appreciate the opportunity to work with all of them and just to speak in your space.
God bless you. Thank you so much. We're going to go back to Attorney Valencia Broadus because we introduced Brother Brian Ross talking about finance. I'm sorry, was there someone else on the line? Oh, okay. And by the way, very publicly want to apologize to Rebecca Bradley, and we will be making that call to see if we can set up next week to have the full opportunity with her. And as I go back, I wanted to say one thing about what you mentioned, and this is so good as it relates to young people having the opportunity to be tutored by Brian Ross. And I'll tell you what you said. When you mentioned that financial literacy became particularly intriguing when you were a bank teller, it suggests that at their age, perhaps that wasn't necessarily your career choice, but it can happen even in high school and perhaps even in college. But please revisit, and I'm going to turn the microphone over to Attorney Broadus.
And I'm gonna turn it over to Mr. Brian Ross in this with this question. Mr. Ross, when we talk to families about estate planning, we often are talking about either, preparing for retirement or for death. And in our conversations where we recently had a seminar, and I thank you for allowing me to do, that with you, we ended up talking about, how do we make sure that our kids going away to school, how do we help them to prepare for the future? And that's kind of how we then got on to that, our students now, when they're going away, they don't have to tell us anything. So if you can, and we'll come back to that particular nuance about the advanced care directives, but what would you tell young people, these college students in general, about preparing for their futures?
My biggest takeaway and one of the best lessons I learned was being the youngest of two older brothers who went to college before. And so what I realized and what I learned is that student loans are very accessible, very, very accessible, right? You go out there, you do your FAFSA, fill everything out that's necessary, and you get that screen. I still remember that day. I was maybe 18, 19, and you can get up to much of 15,000, 20,000, 30,000. And I sat there and I kind of contemplated, what did I want to do? Honestly, I still remember, I kind of like to get this. I kind of like to get that. I kind of like to get this. But then I realized that's got to be paid back, right? That's not free money when it comes to the money being given to you. So reluctantly, 0, 0, 0. And I added up exactly how much I needed to set myself up for success, right? Because a lot of people who do go to college, they're excited about college. There's sometimes the resource is not to pay for college, so student loans is that avenue, right? When it comes to being able to access the education. But when you leave college, that's when you realize that 6 months later that bill gets sent to you that needs to be paid. And you may not have that job, that career that you were looking for right out of school, but that payment still needs to be made. So for me, that was one of the biggest eye-opening pieces going through school, especially for young individuals, is if you do need to get loans, take out what you need. And one other piece that was very helpful for me, especially as I started, was a budget was really important. So I was kind of a little bit of a nerd, I guess, in part. I had my Excel sheet out that I used to come up with my budget for myself about how much I had to come in and how much was going out. And I will admit there were some times there was less coming in and more going out. So I do have to be very transparent with what that looked like. But it was important to me, especially being young, and I had a child as well too, being young, to be very intentional with the dollars that I had and be very intentional with my time and my hours. And so that was for me what I would just say, especially for those youth who are starting off and going to college and about to graduate from college, is just have a plan and be intentional with your dollars as well too.
Amen. Thank you for that, and then we'll come back to the other piece. I'm gonna do a shout out on purpose for Miss Syria again. As you know, she's going to Lincoln, but one of the things that she did through her searching, through scholarships and all of that, she did get a full ride to Lincoln through an HBCU, the agricultural scholarship. All the funds are there, and it's at the end of the day, she wants to really, really, really study political science. And I know I'm telling your story, Miss Terry. She said, "You tell everything, Miss B." But the reason is, as she mentioned, agribusiness and political science. Political science is her love, and she definitely wants to do that. But because we did so much through 4-H, and she learned about agriculture, talked about agricultural law, and all the different ways that could come into what she's doing, and they had a whole free scholarship. I said, well, let's apply to that one, and she got it. So she still gets to be in school, everything paid for, and she gets to do that area. So helping them to not to get those loans and stuff, is critical. Brings me to another thought that as the students, whether they're their first year in college or the second, they're making their own decisions. So once they're there, we can't say, hey, don't take that loan. Hey, don't do this. Hey, don't do that. We can tell them, but because the school doesn't have to show us any paperwork anymore, they make their own decisions now because they're adults. So with the COVID-19, similarly, when your child goes away to school, and if they get sick or something, the school does not have to tell you as a parent. They don't have to call you. And the kids, because they want to stay at college, they may not tell you either. So we've been talking a little bit about, especially the past week or so, is how do we make sure that we are please encouraging our students and the parents to have your child to sign an advanced care directive, form, just so that it's in your file. And because the advanced care directive says, if I'm away at home, I get sick and I can't talk, they want to put a respirator in my throat or something. If we have not found any way for, if the doctors don't have anything in your file, they're not going to call, they don't have to call anybody. So we got to make sure that the child has to give you their permission to get that information, because a lot of the schools, financial aid, all of that, they don't have to. And that's really important, helps.
Yeah, and that was a really eye-opening to me, especially I have a teenager who's going to be going to college in the next few years. But it was something that you don't really think about. You really don't think about. Specifically when we talked about, I got little grades, some grades underneath here. So it's something to think about, which we do so much, and this is really eye-opening to me, that we talk so much about the estate planning and the advanced directive for those who are older, who are maybe near retirement or in retirement. But I do feel like that's a piece that's really missed. So we're excited to talk a little bit more about that in the next few weeks about an upcoming seminar. Hopefully we get the dates out there very soon, but we do want to talk more about that and hopefully encourage the community to be part of that discussion as well.
Thank you so very, very much. And as you have, I don't know what note you received from Attorney Broadus, but I do know that as we talk about what we're doing, contact information might be helpful, but please do that in a minute and 17 seconds.
Yeah. So I'll say I personally could be contacted at 816-291-4508 is my office number. And I do want to talk about the upcoming seminar that we're looking at doing, which is going to be on this topic that we're just discussing right now, the estate piece of it, advanced directives, on August 11th, which is a Tuesday, is what we're looking at having that discussion at 5:30. Information can be found at my address, which is www.edwardjones.com/Brian Ross, or I can also be found on Facebook, edwardjones.com, Brian Ross, when it comes to the search handle for that as well too. We have some additional information about how you can participate through a Zoom call on, once again, August 11th at 5:30.
Let me say to you that we cannot thank you enough. Thank you for being flexible today, those who are in studio and those who are out. And as a matter of fact, our producer, announcer, co-host, and engineer, DeQuay Wilson, did speak, I think, with Rebecca Bradley.
I did, and she asked that I let everyone know that the VA hospital is doing COVID testing, drive-through COVID testing for enrolled veterans. They just need to call their PCP or their primary care physician prior to. And then she wants to remind everyone, of course, to continue to wash their hands and wear their masks.
Absolutely, that is so important. As a matter of fact, as we hear so much about what's going on with the VA hospital, not all of it is necessarily positive, but that does not mean to pass up the opportunity when they are administering these tests. And it is absolutely befuddling the degree to which politics play as important a part in something called health. It is really unfortunate that we have gotten down to the point where somebody said that our current president is noted for being on television. And I have been suggesting that his show must have been Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader? Because so much of what we are doing sounds like child play. But we have some very, very serious issues to address as it relates to the VA hospital. But if they are giving free testing, and once again, let me go back to DeQuay, simply by setting that up, by contacting, once again, DeQuay Wilson.
They would just need to contact their primary care physician. Any enrolled veteran at the VA hospital, contact their primary care physician, and they will set up the testing. You just have to drive through.
Now, let me also give you a number, 816-419-6825. Rebecca Bradley, 816-419-6825. I don't know if you have the other number for her, but just in case someone forgets which number to call, we're asking that you contact your primary care physician before getting tested at the VA hospital. It just happens that we are right down the street from Van Brunt and Linwood up to 35th Street, the VA hospital here. But once again, we thank Rebecca Bradley, and here's the office number.
Is 816-889-2050.
816-889-2050. And here is Sister Broadus again.
And thank you, Mr. Boyd. I was just going to just ask Mr. Boyd to remind us all. Mr. Boyd said, y'all got to go out and vote on Tuesday.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I said it too, but I know he means it.
Thank you so very, very, very much. It's interesting that it just turns out there are some advantages to being seasoned, because my wife and I had a ballot, and we did not have to get a notary because of age. So we're in that category. We have already cast our vote for August 4th. But let me tell you something, folks. If you don't believe that 2020 is the most important year to vote, I don't know where you are from. I don't know what you are observing. But this year, you are absolutely compelled to vote. And I think as we get ready to close, that our producer, announcer, co-host, engineer, DeQuay Wilson, will also ditto that suggestion. So here is DeQuay Wilson.
I second, third, and fourth that the vote is important. So to close today's Wave Your Grades program, our host will recite one of his daily year-round morning motivational messages for students. In honor of our troops, I am DeQuay Wilson. Here is Mr. Boyd.
To students across the USA, your Stoots for Boots message for this day, August 1st. Many thousands of warriors actually wound up in graves, so millions of students could make the grade. Gracious God and wonderful Wanda, I'm on my way home.